From Wall Street to Main Street, this is Lalate.
It's a major night on Lalate as the week started dramatically. We'll see why tonight's recording. As earnings recession hit, major companies missed across the board, but several beat in the conclusion of a big earnings season. But we have a lifetime stimulus, and 7 new stimulus checks that became law 2 weekends ago. And your education secretary spoke about them on the Sunday broadcast. We'll go over the latest details you need to know across the board. The housing market continues to soften, and that housing market softening is an indication of a recession. But the big money is your benefit list, lifetime benefits. We're going to go over in this recording the data that came in today from England that signals that their inflationary environment may be huge. What does that mean for your benefits in the States? I'll have the latest details in tonight's recording as inflation continues to track high in the States. But tonight on LA Late, it's much deja vu all over again, as Mel Brooks once said. All last week, what did I say on this channel? I said that Wall Street had not embedded the risk into the markets that the Federal Reserve is going to raise rates dramatically. 75 basis points in September, October through December. That's what I said. And what happened today? In advance of the Jackson Hole conference coming from Jay Powell on Friday, the stock market crashed. 700 points. This is what I said was going to happen. I said it was going to crash because they have not embedded the risk into the markets of new interest rate spikes from the Federal Reserve. When they got new indication today that those interest rate spikes are going to be pronounced and continual and very staggering, the stock market was down 700 points today. The Dow and the NASDAQ hit dramatically across the board. The great news for you is I have 10 categories of stimulus checks. Nearly 200 stimulus checks in tonight's recording. And viewers have gotten them, and viewers are getting them, and even your education secretary and energy secretary mentioned them on broadcasts in the last 24 hours. We'll go over these new stimulus checks as exciting details. And tonight we got it all for you. Your economy, your recession, your inflation, your benefit raise, your housing market, your unemployment, and your forced stimulus. The breaking news starts right now on Evenings. And good evening, everyone. Tonight, the stock market is down nearly 700 points. That's the Dow. The NASDAQ down 300 points. And guess who told you this was going to happen? I did. We spoke about it all last weekend, all last week. We'll go over the latest details across the board. Big stimulus, $100,000. That's check A, B, and C. But guess what? 7 new stimulus checks. Categories of stimulus checks added to that. And your education secretary spoke about then in the last 24 hours. Huge sums of money. That's why viewers on the channel are averaging 14 months of checks. And they're not getting 1 check a month. They're averaging 5 checks a month. 80 to 100 checks is a norm on this channel. The housing data, more recession left and right. And the inflation, fascinating, as inflation may be tracking dramatically through the roof. Overseas, is it tracking as high in the States? We start with that as our major story tonight on an Evenings, LA. How are you? It's a beautiful night here in Southern California, August 22nd, 2022, and I hope I don't jinx the weather again. Last weekend I said, the summer's over. It's all nice and cool, and then 2 days later it got hot. Oh boy. One thing really hot today is inflation. And a major report released this morning from Citibank says that England could see record inflation starting in January. Wait a second. Our inflation is supposed to get to 2%, says Jay Powell, by the end of the year. How can we be going to 2% if England is going how high? The report out of Citibank is expecting that British citizens could see, are you ready for this one? 18% inflation in January. Oh my goodness. Now remember, we're a symbiotic relationship with the British economy. So whatever happens there could happen over here as well. They're looking for a consumer price index, CPI, in England of 18%. Oh my goodness, and 21% for the retail sales. So wait a second. They're going up and we're going down? Wow. Jump on the live chat. Do you think that we may actually track higher? I'll be answering that later in this recording. This is a breaking news report across the board. Now, this morning when I was on air on Mornings LA, I went over the importance of Friday. What's Friday? What's the weekend? There's something else important about Friday. This Friday, the Fed president, Jay Powell, speaks in Jackson Hole. And he's going to speak about inflation. He's going to speak about Fed hikes. And I said, well, you already know what he's going to say. You already saw his comedy routine in Vegas, didn't you? He's going to say we're getting inflation to 2% by December. Well, he's not. He says we're going to do interest rate spikes consecutively, which he is, and that we're going to stay with where we are and continue to do it until we get inflation down. Well, that's going to be a while. And I said, this is sort of predictable because we have Daly and Boulard and Dale and Bowman all saying that's what they're going to do. So we already know that, right? Well, that's what I was recording all last weekend. That basically the Fed governors have said what they're doing. It's easy for me to tell you what they're going to do and me from being predicted because they've already said it. But here was the problem. All last week and all last weekend on this channel, I said there's a major problem. The problem is that the Fed governors are telling you what they're going to do and Wall Street is ignoring it and saying, first, there's going to be a pivot, but the federal governors are going to change their policy and do something other than what they're doing. And number two, Wall Street is saying they're just going to do something different. Wall Street was betting for the last 3 weeks on nothing happening from the Fed governors, and they had not embedded into the risk exactly what the Fed governors say they're going to do. Does that look like dangerous? It did look dangerous. I said all last weekend that the Fed governors are basically saying they're staying at 75 basis point until they get inflation to 2%. Just assume that's what they're doing. Because the Fed governors, when they tell you what they're going to do, they're going to do it. Wall Street didn't listen. Wall Street didn't embed that risk in the market. Wall Street kept on saying 50 basis points in September, and that's the only interest rate spike for the rest of this year and ever again. And guess how that went? Guess how that went? I said that Wall Street's going to crash because they have not embedded the risk into the market. Tonight, that's exactly what happened. Again, I predicted the future. The Dow is down at 607 points at close today. Why? Because Wall Street did not embed the risk of the Federal Reserve doing more interest rate spikes. I mean, folks, this is sort of obvious. This is not rocket science. I think you could be a grade schooler to figure this out. And yet Wall Street messed up again. When you see the market dropping right now like it's doing, this is the market saying the Federal Reserve will be more aggressive to slow the economy down further, says Robert Cantwell, portfolio manager at Up Holdings. Well, there you go. Wall Street had their ears in the sand for 2 weeks, clearly not listening to this channel, clearly not watching like you are, and not understanding that the Federal Reserve is going to do 75 basis point indefinitely till they get inflation at 2%. And Wall Street is betting on another reality, which is a fake reality, of no more interest rate spikes, and train the stocks up and up and up and up. And tonight, they are really down. They are really down. And I told you this is what impacts the American consumer. You're at the supermarket stand tomorrow. You're going to be checking out with the milk and eggs. You turn to the left, it says, UFO ate my lobster shorts. And then the next magazine next to it will say, stock market down 700 points. Big problems about this economy. That was the reality we've been talking about on this channel for 2 weeks. And finally, it hit tonight. And there you go. Again, I predicted it correctly. I was the first to predict a recession in February of this year. I was the first to predict inflation at 8% persistent in last year. And tonight, the stock market crash I predicted over the last week or 10 days has happened. Job cuts have also happened today. We learned today that Ford Motor Company is cutting 3,000 of its workers. This is breaking news tonight. It wasn't even happening on afternoons. You know, the problem with the administration is they only talk about good things. They never talk about bad things. And the administration sent out one of the economic advisors on broadcast media yesterday talking about how wonderful this economy is. It's not wonderful. There's some parts that are good and other parts that are not good. And the White House talking about labor is absolutely perfect. Labor's not perfect. If Ford Motor Company's laid off 3,000 of its workers tonight, and yes, this president, the guy who drove the Ford pickup truck around the White House for press opportunity, 3,000 employees laid off, folks, that's a big problem. Now, remember, we've been watching this unemployment situation on this channel. What has happened? Unemployment was 140,000 new jobless claims in April. It surged to 260, the worst number of this year. It pulled back to 250 last Thursday, but that's still the second highest number of the year. The White House ignoring this data. Well, what else does the White House have to ignore tonight? The White House has to ignore Mitch. The White House has to ignore Mitt Romney. Has to ignore any Romney plan, has to ignore lobster shorts, has to ignore $12 ice cream, and has to ignore this. 3,000 employees laid off at Ford on top of the massive layoffs that have hit at Best Buy, HBO, Peloton, Shopify, Remax, Walmart, and Wayfair. And a new report out today says 50% of employees think they're going to lose their jobs. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't feel that way about me. How do you feel about it? Do you 50% think I'm going to lose my job? Don't think that way. That is a no bueno. Wow. The day started with another major question mark, and that is earnings. Well, this is really interesting. With the stock market down 700 points, what have we seen in the last 7 days? Retail. We had Target guide us downward, meaning they said we're going to have a worse quarter than we thought when we report our second quarter earnings. They got it down on May, got it downward in June, got it downward in July, and then they missed last week. When they reported their earnings, they missed. They couldn't even beat it. But on the same regard, we had BJ's, was a discount house seller like Costco or Smart Final. They beat. High-end Estee Lauder missed, but then Tapestry, which owns Coach and Kate Spade, some great brands there, beat. So it's very much a mixed bag. What do we have today? Well, we had Signify Health that made news at the open today of the stock market. It surged 38% when there's news that Amazon and United Health are in competition to buy it. AMC was down 31%. I think it was worse by the end of the day. When it debuted its APE equity shares, it's basically giving you another share for what you already have, and it didn't work. Oh, Ford's just not having a good day. Ford was down 3% at the opening after the loss of $1.7 billion, after it was hit with a $1.7 billion verdict on Friday. And Occidental Petroleum surged when Warren Buffett said he wants to buy 50%. Bed Bath & Beyond was beyond and took a bath today. It's much the same story daily with Bed Bath & Beyond. It was down 10.2%, and AMC was down 31%. Ouch. Netflix as well was down 2.4%. There were some good performers before the stock market crash, but most stocks are now in their lowest, their 52-week low. This was what we've been talking about. A recession brings stocks down 48%, and that when they're at 28%, people are just celebrating. If you don't know what the charts generally look like, this is what they look like. The low is May. Then they rally from June straight back up to July. And then now they've really gone almost down to those May levels. So they basically lost everything in one day that they've been gaining in the last few weeks. David Kosin, Goldman Sachs' U.S. equity strategist, sent a note Friday. Performance around bear market rallies at the end of Fed's hiking cycle looks similar, but ultimately both the path of inflation growth will determine the market's trajectory. You know, the bond traders, they got it right again. The bond traders, they're predicting how that reality TV show ends the season as well. They're predicting the fashion trends out of Kentucky senators as well. The bond traders got it right. The bond traders before the stock market crash today were trading up the 10-year Treasury note, believing that the Fed speech from Jay Powell was not going to be good. They trade up the 10-year Treasury note early this morning to 2.996 and the 30-year note. So what is Jay Powell really doing on Friday? He's going to Jackson Hole, which is a conference, not an FOMC meeting, it's a conference. And he hasn't told you ahead of time what he's going to say, but I'm telling you what I think he's going to say. He's going to say, inflation's our top priority. We're getting inflation to 2%. We're going to stay with interest rate spikes till we get inflation to 2%. And we're likely to stay at the same inflationary spikes that we've had in recent meetings. How can I say that? Because that's what Bowman, Doolard, and Daly have said in the last few weeks. It's pretty obvious. Now, he may say 75 basis points, but other than that, that is what he's going to say. And it's so darn obvious. I've been saying this on the channel for a week. And I said, Wall Street is saying 50 basis points, and we're done in September. I said, wow. You got to get to 2% inflation. You're not going to get from 8.5% in September to 2% in December by, waving at the check at the beach. Hey, check at the. No, he didn't respond back. It's not going to work. You got to do interest rate spikes longer than one more interest rate spike in September. And Bowman said, hey, we got to stay at 75 for a while. This is why the stock market crashed today. And when the stock market crashes, it's not good for anyone because everyone understands there's a big problem with this economy. And this guy can come out and talk about how wonderful the economy is. But if you have a stock market down 700 points and we're only in September, we are not even at that financial cliff. Really, it's not September, it's August, obviously, August 22nd, but we're coming on September. Then it's a big problem left and right. The good news for you is that, yes, his energy secretary did a great job. The energy secretary for Joe Biden appeared on broadcast news in the last 24 hours. And what did she say? She said that wonderful bill passed by Congress 2 weekends ago established all this brand new money for you. She doesn't call it a stimulus check. She doesn't call it check A to E or B to C or absolute lobster shorts or $12 ice cream. But she said the following. She said, we put in there a lot of money for you. And if you want money for this, we pay it. You want money for this, we pay it. Those are exact words of her. You want money for this, we pay it. We have a lot of money in this package for you. And we pay it, we pay it, we pay it. She said a lot of the money is generally for for low-income individuals. Although some of the money may be for middle income. But she said, we pay it. She went lightning gun. And those checks are checks E to K. I'm going to go over all those incredible 7 new categories of stimulus checks in just a second. The other major story which led afternoon's LA today, but I want to jump into it now because it's still a hideously important story, is that inflationary report out of England. England and the United States are symbiotic relationships, and if England is going to 18% inflation in December, then how are we tracking lower? And of course, you know where I'm going with this. Your benefits. What does this mean for your benefits? Let's go over the latest details on that story. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, and veteran benefits, starting right now. First, let's understand what's at issue. If inflation stays hot, if inflation goes hotter, then your benefits are going up. The largest of a generation. We're going to go over the calculation of it in a second. We'll also go over the why. But first, let's go over the actual inflationary story. The inflationary story preempts itself with this. Remember, if your benefits go up, this is lifetime stimulus. Once your benefits go up, they never go down. So if in this analysis, if the benefits go up, let's say 12%, that's not just 12% this month. It's not just 12% this year. It's lifetime. And if inflation next year is 2%, that means you'll get 2% on top of 12%. This is huge. All right, so now let's jump into the inflationary story to understand why this is happening. It started in the month of May when this consumer price index number, which is the CPI, which gauges inflation, surged to a whopping 8.6%, astronomically high. Then the month after that, June, 9.1%, even hotter, higher. And that is indication your benefits are going up an enormous amount. An enormous amount. It started on July 13th when the consumer price index beat, the PPI beat, and also the retail sales beat. So we were watching tooth and nail on August 10th. The consumer price index released for the month of July. Why? Because that was the first of 3 months of data. Let's go over the calculation right now. Your benefits are tied to something called COLA. COLA. And it determines how much your benefits go up every year. How is COLA determined? COLA is determined by the CPI-W, a part of the CPI, released over 3 months. The July number released last week, August 10th, 8.5%. The August number for this month released September 10th, and the September number released October 10th. We understood when that CPI rose dramatically to 9.1% in the month of June, that if inflation stays where it is or higher, your benefits are going up a lot. So let's go over where that inflation is right tonight. Then we'll go over your benefits, and then we'll give you my predictions on how high they're going up. Inflation tonight is about the same as it was the prior month. The Consumer Price Index released last week, August 10th, the headline number was a little bit less, about a half a percentage point at 8.5%. But when you look at the components of the number, the subcategories, they actually went up month to month from June to July. Salaries up. Rent, up. Milk and eggs, consumer staples you buy in the store, up. So the reason why the headline number went down a little bit was because gasoline went down in the month of July. So if that inflation stays where it is right now or higher, over 2 more months, your benefits are going up the largest of a generation. Let's go over why that is, and then we'll go over the calculation and the prediction of how much it could go up. The reason why is it's dependent upon 3 months of data. And yes, we've had the first 2 months of data, the first month of data last week. We're looking to get that next month of data, this month of data next month. July, August, and September's data, of course, is released 30 days thereafter. Your benefits are going up. How much? About $5,000. Some of you more, some of you less. Direct deposit, otherwise than meal. You don't have to do anything. This is lifetime raise, lifetime stimulus. And same percentage for everyone? Absolutely. Same percentage for everyone, and this, my friends, is astronomical money. Lifetime stimulus. So let's go over the calculation of the obvious question. How much? How much are they going up? The Seniors League, a nonprofit organization, looked at the data last week, the first of those 3 months. The July CPI, released on August 10th, the first of 3 months, and that came in at 8.5 for the headline number. With that 8.5 CPI, the Seniors League said your benefits, if they stay at that same CPI for 2 more months, would go up 10.1%. So 8.5 CPI, 10.1 raise of your benefits. Do I agree? Do you agree? Jump in the live chat and write agree or disagree. First, let's do the analysis together. When you understand the component parts determine the headline number. First, salaries are still going up month to month. They're going up from July to August. Rent is going up from July to August. Milk and eggs and food is generally flat or going up in the month of August. And then gasoline. Well, guess what? Gasoline's starting to track back up. It went to 92 and 93 last week. It's already at 98, international price of Brent crude. The U.S. domestic unleaded has tracked down. The bond traders are basically saying they're at full capacity in July. And guess what? When you head into September, refineries go offline because of hurricane, tornado. You also have changed demand across the board. So gasoline may stay about the same or actually go higher. So do you believe that inflation will stay the same or go higher? I really believe it's going to stay the same or go higher. I don't see it going down. So with that, I believe that the Seniors League number is conservative, at least from my opinion. Really quite conservative. Ultimately, we have to see 2 more months of CPI, but you and I can experience it. Look at the milk and eggs. Look at how many employees are at the checkout stand. Look at the rent, or neighbors talk about the rent. Has the landlord raised the rent, kept the same? If you believe those numbers are about the same or going higher, then you believe that your benefits are going even higher than even the Seniors League projects at a 10.1 print. Wow, so much tonight. Now, in the second half, we're going to go over the huge news. The huge news is now there is 10 categories of stimulus checks. The first one is check A. It's really just one check. The second check is check B. That is upwards of 80 to 100 checks. And the viewers of the channel are doing the following. They're generally getting about 14 months of it. They're generally getting rent plus utilities, which is upwards of 5 checks a month over 14 months. That's a lot of checks. Check C is the same. In the case of check C, you're not applying to just one place, you're applying to 12 places because there's 12 places in the membership newsletter. Then when we go over to the 7 new categories of checks, that's on top of that. So look at that. A, 80 to 100 check Bs, 80 to 100 check Cs, and then 7 categories from E to K. A lot of checks. Finally, let's go over those comments from the Energy Secretary overnight. She spoke about these wonderful new 7 categories of checks. She basically said, hey, we're paying for this. We're paying for that. You want this? We're paying for it. Those are exact words over and over again. You want it? We'll pay for it. You want it? We'll pay for it. And you know what that was so important about was she was separating out the items, number one, making it very clear that each item is very different. So if you want it, come and get it. Number 2, she basically used the language of this channel for many, many months, which is you got to do something. You want it, come and get it. That was how she phrased it. You want it, come and get it. I mean, I'm not going to send it to you if you don't ask for it. And these huge checks are featured in the big second half. What do? You go into this video, become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. join this channel. And in the big second half, we're going to go over these 10 categories of checks which have been law since the month of March. The first 3 checks became law in the month of March. The next 7 categories of checks became law 1 week ago by Congress. Become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, and Calcino VIP. Let's recap. The first 3 categories of checks are huge. They're about $100,000. Passed by executive action from Joseph Biden, you qualify. Single individual, $75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, go get it. If you rent, if you own, if you're on benefits, if you're on non-benefits, go get it. Remember, this is not paid by your state. The states never paid stimulus over the last 2 years. It was the federal government that always paid the massive stimulus, not the states. The states never paid you $150,000. It was the federal government. And that is where all these incredible items come from. The first 3 were passed in March by executive action. The last 7, were passed by Congress by act of law 2 Sundays ago. How do you get these? You go under this video, become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. And in the big second half, we're going to go over the 10 categories of checks. We're going to go over the newsletter. We're going to go over the first 3 checks and go through the application together. And we're going to go over what you need to know as we go into day 2 of a potential tumultuous week with the countdown to Jay Powell's comments on Friday. Then I have a personal commentary about how well you've done with this. And also we'll look back on the excitement that started last night. If you missed it, the launch of Lalate 2 and Lalate 3. 2 new channels joining the biggest and fastest growing financial news network on the planet. It's Lalate. Go into this video, become a member. And I'll see you back in 60 seconds as we go over check A, B, and C on evenings.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join Lalate Daily for the excitement of the new Lalate live daily. The excitement starts on mornings Lalate at 9 a.m. Home Lalate returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons Lalate at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on Lalate.
And excitement is right now for a beautiful August 22nd, 2022, from the shores of Santa Monica, California. Hope you're having a beautiful day across the board. It's a big week. I mean, on Friday, we have Jay Powell. On Thursday, we have the labor claims on the morning broadcast. And then tomorrow, we're going to have the reaction to the news that the market has really not embedded the risk of more interest rate spikes. We're also looking to see more data coming from the housing industry. Provided I have time to go over that in this broadcast, I will add it as well. And then we'll, of course, look at the latest details that impacts your benefits and everything for unemployment as well. But boy, it's a huge broadcast. In the big second half, we're going to go over all these incredible forced stimulus checks. Check A all the way to check K, 10 categories of checks. The huge money, the huge details all start right here, right now, as we go into a big second half. And we'll start, of course, with those first 3 checks. Those first 3 checks were passed by Congress, passed by the president, by executive action in the month of March. It's about $100,000. And I've given them letters check A, B, and C. At the time, viewers wanted checks, and I found checks, a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. I had 3 focuses. 1, I wanted big checks. We got it. These checks are about $100,000. I wanted broad eligibility for these checks. Well, you qualify. Single individual, $75,000 or less. Married couple, $150,000 or less. And then I wanted a simplicity of how to get it. What is that simplicity? The newsletter. You get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via the member alerts on this channel, and you go right in and pounce and get those incredible checks. We're going to go over pouncing for those checks starting right now. The very first check is Check A. Check A is a $6,500 to $12,000 forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. It's huge sums of money. It's the check that Spelly got, and it's also called the Weatherizing Grant Check. Single individual, $75,000 or less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 or less, go get it. And if you're on benefits, go get it as well. How do you get it? Step one, go into the video and join the channel. Become a member of Lalate. Number two, subscribe to this channel. Number three, get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday. Go down to where it says Check A at the start of the newsletter. It's towards the top. And click the link. Go right into the nationwide website, choose your state, choose the Weatherizing Grant, and go get it. $6,500 to $12,000. You're not done there yet. We're going to go get Check B. This is the check that a viewer out of Florida got. 80 to 100 checks she got. She clearly got more than 80,000. Viewers are tracking about $45,000 to $80,000 from this incredible check, but a lot have gotten more than 80,000. How do you get this incredible Check B? Step one, subscribe. Step two, join this channel. Go into the video, it says join this channel, become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP member, and then get that incredible membership newsletter. Go down the membership newsletter to Check B. It's right after Check A. Here it is. And click the link. It sends you into the nationwide website and go get it. Very simple. Sends you to the nationwide website, choose your state, and pounce. Look at that wonderful Check B. 80,000. Look at that Check A. 12,000. Well, that's $100,000 right there. But we're not done. We're going to go get Check C. Check C has been on this channel for a long time. It is rent. It is utilities. It's mortgage assistance and more. Last weekend, a viewer got 14 months of rent. A day before that, another viewer got 14 months of rent. A day before that, a viewer got 12 months of utilities. And last week, another viewer got Check A as well. How do you get this wonderful Check C, which is rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, more? Step one, you go on this video, become a member. Then you go down to Check C. It tells you who to call, what to say, and how to say it. Now, the importance of understanding that these are categories of checks, certainly with Check C. Check C is currently being gotten by viewers with 14 months of it. When I launched Check C in 2020, I was telling viewers to get 3 to 4 months. Then viewers started getting 12 months. Now they're getting 14 months of these. 14 months of 5 checks a month, folks, that's a lot of checks. In the membership newsletter, I show you 12 places to reach out to. So you're going to keep on getting these big sums of money month after month by pouncing across the board. How about the success stories? These Check Cs date back to 2020 because they even predate third stimulus. We've been getting them that long. They became bigger under third stimulus, and yes, this is the residue of third stimulus. Let's get some of the success stories. From Lorraine and Nisi and Margaret and Elizabeth, look at these numbers for rent. And then utilities. Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000. He also got SNAP over 10 years. He gained $250,000. Combinations. Nisi went from this graphic for $23,000 to $50,000. Mark went from this graphic at $32,000 to this graphic, $50,000. And then he went to $166 because he got Check B. Here's Lorraine. She was at $105. She went to $155. Well, those are Check A, B, and C. But yes, you heard the news. You saw the news on this channel in prime time in a special report 2 Sundays ago. The night it became law. 7 new categories of stimulus. 7 new categories of stimulus, which I label as Check E to K, became law by Act of Congress in that wonderful passage 2 Sundays ago. And yes, these are the checks that your energy secretary was speaking about yesterday. What are these incredible Check E to K? They are the following: $7,500 for Check E, F, $4,000 for Check F, G, 30% off, H, $2,000 for Check H, I, $8,000, K, J, $8,000, and K, $14,000. Wow. And as your energy secretary said yesterday, go get them. I got it. I got money to pay you. Come and get it. So you got to pounce as a purple hawk. She didn't use the word pounce. She used the word purple hawk, but she said, come and get it. That's basically the same language. What do? You go under this video, subscribe. You go under this video, then join the channel. Purple Hawk, Purple Power Casino VIP, and you go to the first channel, hit that bell to make sure all notifications are set to on. You're watching Lalate, the number 3 most watched financial news channel in America, and this broadcasting family now features 3 channels in this broadcasting family. Lalate, the original Lalate 1, Lalate 2, and Lalate 3. Lalate 2 features the new show live called Stimulus Live, covering your stimulus 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but generally featured in the evening time slot. And then Lalate 3 featuring Wall Street, stocks, your bonds, your crypto, your recession, your inflation, your housing, everything you need to know about your money, even if you don't buy stocks or bonds, everything you need to know about this economy. That's featured in the hit new show called Wall Street Live, which generally airs during the daytime hours. I'll feature more about them later in this recording. But let's jump back over to where stimulus is tonight. And first, a message from me to you. I'm very, very proud of what you've done on this channel, because it was just months ago when I was saying in the coverage of Check C, go get 3 to 4 months of it. I've been covering Check C on this channel for a while, and it went from 3 to 4 months, then 6 months, then 8 months. Well, you notice what's happening? Yeah, I've noticed what's happening. Viewers on average are getting about 14 months of Check C. And when we go to Check B, they're getting lots of Check B, lots of months of Check B. You've learned to really shoot high. Don't shoot low. Get as much as you can and get lots and lots of months. And you've been taking the motivation of other viewers to really get these big sums of money. I'm really quite proud of you across the board. One of the things that really helps you, of course, is the newsletter. And in the newsletter are the worksheets. The worksheets are down around the 3rd line or 4th line of the newsletter. And the worksheets are here. Wrong prop. Watch out, I'll raise, lobster shorts in the air. Wrong prop. Here it is. These are the worksheets. The worksheets are a series of PDFs you print out for your phone, and you take notes. And we learned a lot about the individual items tonight. Boy, folks, pull out your worksheets. Get ready to take some notes starting right now. First, on page 1, inflation. What do we learn tonight? Citibank saying that England is going to 18% inflation by January. So what does that mean for us? It means we could be tracking higher. Back in the United States, the wake-up call really happened between afternoon show today and evening show. It's a totally different show tonight. Why? Because over the last 2 weeks, I said that the Federal Reserve is going to do interest rate spikes of 75 basis points every month from September to December, because they will begin that inflation down to 2%, and they haven't moved it. It's still at 8.5%. And tonight, Wall Street now believes that. Wall Street now believes that the Federal Reserve is going to take inflation far more seriously than Wall Street thought a few hours ago. That's Wall Street for you. Sometimes they just really don't make sense. Recession. Housing recession is deeply underway, and we feature that all over the weekend. To the extent I have time to get back to it later in this recording, I will. The National Association of Home Builders believe that the housing recession has been fully underway. Existing home sales are down, new home sales are down, builder confidence is down, and builders are simply not building. Mortgage applications are down the lowest in 20 years because no one can afford a mortgage at these current rates. Labor. Well, tonight we learned a lot more about labor. 3,000 layoffs coming to Ford, joining Netflix and everyone else left and right. Jobless claims have pulled back a little bit from 260 to 250. But this is where I have a big problem with the White House. I don't like people telling a half story, and that economic representative for Joe Biden appeared on broadcast media yesterday and said, it's the greatest labor market that ever existed. No, it's just not true. And then the Federal Reserve. Okay, so tonight, the Federal Reserve. The reason why the stock market's down 700 points tonight, or 640, that it was not down 2 hours ago, is because everyone on Wall Street basically sort of woke up to the reality I was recording on this channel for 2 weeks. I said the Federal Reserve is going to come in at 75 in September and 75 in October, November, December, and they may still not get inflation out of 2%. And I said Wall Street's not embedded that risk into the markets, because Wall Street, as of this morning, this afternoon, as of just like 10 minutes ago, was saying 50 or 75 basis points in September, and that's it. No. No. And if you're trading up stocks, trading them up, thinking good times are here to stay, and then you realize, oh, I was thinking this wrong way. That's why stocks are down dramatically. Wow, it's just a real mess up by something that's so obvious. And I got to tell you, tomorrow may not be a much better day for the market either. As we go to that next page of the worksheets, this is the one that's really helping people win. This second page is a wonderful table, and it was made with 20 rows, but I encourage you now to print out multiple copies. Why? This is where you keep track of the checks you applied for. The viewer out of Florida was using it, but forgot she filled it out. This has helped the two viewers get 14 months of rent. The viewer got 12 months of utilities. The speller got check A and C. And then one viewer out of Florida, she filled it out. She just forgot she had. And then the state of Florida contacted her 2 weeks ago. Ma'am, you've been approved for check B. Wow, congratulations. What'd you get approved for? Mortgage. Oh, great. 1 month? No, 18 months. 18 months? Yes, and she applied for all her utilities. 5 checks a month, approximately, 18 months. That is 80 to 100 checks. That's why you want to become a member. You want to keep track of all your stimulus that you apply for. You're going to be applying for a lot of stimulus. You're going to be applying for 100 to 200 checks. A lot of checks. And you want to keep track of it. And I only have on this table really like 20 rows because this channel has expanded. The stimulus has expanded. We were only at 3 just a few days ago. Now we're at 10. And now we have people getting 14 months. So things are really expanded very quickly on this channel. You want to become a member and you want to really print out multiple copies of this. If you don't have a printer, just take notes on a separate piece of paper. Just look at what it looks like and then recreate on a separate piece of paper. This stimulus. So what do we know about your benefit raise tonight? We have that big question mark of Citibank. If that inflation is tracking so high in England, what does it mean for us? I got to tell you, when you look at Bowman's comments as the Fed governor, I think it was 2 weeks ago, featured on this channel, she says that inflation may be persistent for a while. I think it's a great comment by her. I think they're not going to get inflation down to 2% for a while. And when I mean a while, maybe middle 2023. So ultimately, if that's the case, then this seems like maybe lower, maybe too conservative. Basically, the number could be higher. Gasoline, the next page of the worksheets. Tonight, we learn a lot more about gasoline. We'll feature it on the membership newsletter at the first line where the international Brent crude comes in, but it's tracking higher. It was 92 last week, and now it's tracking up to 98. That was really quick. The question mark about it is whether it's going to really take a pivot differently in the next few days across the board. And then the last page, student loan debt forgiveness. The president, according to this channel's reporting, for nearly 8 months, almost 3/4 of a year, has made the determination he's going to do $10,000 for individuals who make $150,000 a lot. Forgive it. And he gave himself a self-imposed deadline of August 31st to announce that. But insiders believe he's not going to make the announcement then. He's going to continue the moratorium, meaning you do not have to pay back your debts past August, closer to the midterm elections. And he's going to announce the forgiveness right before the midterm elections. He's already forgiven the individuals who became defrauded by the university, individuals who became disabled or went to work in the nonprofit or public sector after graduation as well. To learn about that, go into the Department of Education's website and pull out the press releases from your education secretary, Miguel Cardona, across the board. And tonight, my commentary and then the news that everyone has been talking about, the launch of LA2 and LA3. Tonight, my commentary, I'm really proud of you. I mean, it's great what you've done. Can you imagine that energy secretary less than 24 hours ago saying, go get it, we got money for you, go get it. Who does that sound like? Yeah, it sounds like me. It sounds like us. We've been talking about this on this channel for a long time. Go get it. That was her phrase. She's not going to send you a check if you don't ask for it. She's not going to just automatically put it in your hand because you're eating a donut. It's not going to happen. And I've been so proud of you that you've really expanded the amount of money that you're getting, that you're not focusing on 3 months, you're focusing on 14 months. You're not focusing on 14 months, you're focusing on 18 months. You're not focusing on just check A, you're focusing on 10 checks. And you're not just focusing on check B, you're focusing on check category B to get as many checks in that category of B as possible. You're doing a really great job. And along the way, you had to really navigate through a lot of obstacle courses. So those obstacle courses have been the false news out there. Really bad false news. In fact, if you go online, one of the new articles out there says fact checker. Fact checker? Who by? USA Today. Oh, really? USA Today has a fact checking article that says there's no forced stimulus check. Oh, really? Tell my viewers that. There's no forced stimulus check. Well, depends on how you define a forced stimulus check. If you define it as something that lands in your hand because you're eating a donut, $800, $600 for every American citizen, then yes, there is none of that. But if you define a forced stimulus check as a check that you can get from the forced stimulus round of stimulus in the United States and it's money, then there is a forced stimulus check. And it's been around for several months on this channel. Viewers have got it. And it's stuff like that, that false narrative by places left and right that you have to navigate through. And I know it's difficult, and you've done a really good job. Yesterday, when this channel launched, LA2 and LA3, I posted Instagram previews of those two new channels. And I posted a video for LA2. And two people jumped into the comments of that Instagram post. The first person posted in Oklahoma. There's no Oklahoma money from the state of Oklahoma. And I said, well, I really don't care what Oklahoma pays you. There's money in Oklahoma from the federal government because all the big stimulus, first, second, third, and now fourth, has come from the federal government. It's not coming from the states. States never paid you tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars. They never did. It always came from the federal government. And the viewer said, wow, I'm going to watch that new channel. I said, appreciate that. And then another person posted, in Texas, they don't care. There's no money in Texas. My viewers in Texas have gotten fortunes on this channel from the month of March. Fortunes from the federal government. It's in Texas. They're in Texas, but it's not from Texas. It's not Texan money. It's federal money. And that's why it's important to really navigate through all this thick and thin. Ultimately, I don't care what people who aren't part of this channel say or do. Because if there's less people competing for that stimulus, there's less stimulus stampede, and you got more for you. It's sort of like a cake in the kitchen. If the less people want that cake, then, or less people know the cake exists, then you have more deliciousness to enjoy. Finally, did you see what happened yesterday? Wow. Two new channels have joined this broadcasting family. This broadcasting network of Lalate now features three channels. The original channel, Lalate, and now LA2 and LA3. To go to LA2, you go to youtube.com/LALate2. Very simple. To go to LA3, you go to youtube.com/LALate3. On LA3, you'll have delicious new cooking programming and lots of programming about your economy, your recession, your inflation, Wall Street, bonds, and crypto. And the first new show that started last night, called Wall Street Live. It airs during daytime hours on LA3. On LA2, you have lots of stimulus around the clock, and lots of humor. Sirloin, Javila, and Blaine 66 back. LA2 has during evening hours and overnight hours, Stimulus Live. A lot of people enjoyed it yesterday, and I want to thank Kiwanis, the first new member of LA2. Finally, if you've not noticed, there's now membership on Lalate, this channel, LA2, and LA3. So if you're a member for any of the three channels, you get the membership newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, via all three channels, via its membership. Incredible details across the board. Join me throughout the night, and the programming continues on this channel with Evenings Lalate every night at 5 o'clock, Street and Stimulus at 7 o'clock, Countdown at 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock is Extra, 9 o'clock is Sunset, and then the programming continues throughout the night before we turn on Early Mornings Lalate at 4 a.m., Mornings Lalate at 9 a.m., Mornings Countdown at 7. Throughout the days, there's a lot to see, and if you've not seen it, I'm going to end with a trailer from LA3 and a trailer from LA2. Enjoy LA3's new show, Wall Street Live, and LA2's new show called Stimulus Live. And I'll see you tonight throughout the evening. Bye.